Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the podcast. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about leveraging AI in your gym. We have leveraged AI in our gym, and I think we've really leveraged it like in pretty much every single way that we can. And it took our business to the next level. And we're going to be showing you in today's episode a few ways that you can leverage it too. Because if you're not using AI in your gym, you are going to be left behind in 5 years. So, with this episode, we're going to be showing you exactly how to start using it. By the way, if you don't know us, my name is Josh and this is my partner Brandon. And we opened a gym in the middle of the pandemic and scaled it to $100,000 months in a span of under 2 years. And now we've delegated all of our time. And so we have the time to show other gym owners how to do the same. Let's dive into the podcast. So, Brandon, the first thing that we're going to talk about is lead nurturing. And this is something that a lot of gym owners struggle with because they just don't have time for that. They have, all the gym stuff. They have their clients, their trainers, and all the stuff. So they just don't have time for lead nurturing. But yeah, let the people know how we talk to our leads.
Yeah, totally. So just to kind of give a little bit of context of what Josh and I used to do. When we were first starting off the gym, it was just him and I and his wife. And the thing that we always had to do is stay on top of our leads. We want to make sure that as soon as we get a lead, we had to make a phone call. But as Josh was saying earlier, we would have to get in on the phone call within like 5 minutes to make sure that lead was hot. And if we're training clients, it's going to be very hard for us to do that. Or if we're, picking up stuff at Home Depot, or if we're grabbing other stuff, or we're getting the gym ready for the day, it's going to be very hard. So in our business over the past 2 years, what we've done is we've actually began to leverage AI as a chatbot, which is going to answer our leads. So remember that wait time that I was talking about? That AI chatbot can do it at any time of the day, no matter what you're doing for you. And so those leads stay hot and they get their questions answered right away, and they stay warm all the way up until they book an appointment with you.
Yeah, for sure. Exactly. And, you're just like, there's so much more that you have to do in a business. And like, it is so important to contact those leads as fast as possible. And it just sucks because you have to do it. But at the same time, it's like there's other shit going on. Like there's things on fire and people need me. And, maybe I'm even having dinner with my family, right? And so the only other solution other than AI is to hire a full front desk staff. Or maybe you have like an appointment setter that's not even in your gym. Like maybe you hire somebody who's working from home or something and that's just calling your leads constantly. But then again, that can get really expensive. So the thing that we use is just AI to communicate with them, and it is free, basically. It's pretty much free.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to cost you a little bit, but not as much as you would for an admin or someone to answer the phones all the time, especially if you're a new gym kind of building up. You may not have a lead, multiple leads throughout the day that you're contacting, right? It's going to be happen sporadically, and as you grow your marketing system, it's going to exponentially grow the amount of leads that you have as well. But one thing that our AI chatbot does really well is it actually pre-qualifies the leads before they actually book these appointments. So in our example, we have a personal training gym, and that means we're not going to be accepting clients who are or leads who are looking for like an open gym membership. Maybe they're looking for giant classes. Those are things that we just don't have, right? And so the cool thing about these AI chatbots is you can program them to tell them exactly what services you have at your gym so they can answer and pre-qualify these leads before they even think about booking. That way, when you have booked consultations and people are showing up, they still understand a little bit about your service before they actually come in.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing with the AI is that it doesn't make any mistakes ever. And it knows all of the knowledge all at the same time and never forgets. So it's actually better than a real person as well. So you give it like an FAQ, or maybe you give it some audio recordings of conversations that you've had with potential clients and things like that. And it takes in all of that data and it can just never make a mistake ever. I mean, obviously, AI isn't perfect as well, but it's definitely better than somebody who's a front desk staff. Whereas, like, for example, the front desk, maybe she's in a bad mood and she she responds a little bit negatively and it doesn't sound that good. The AI is never in a bad mood. The AI will never make a mistake. It always sounds perfect. And that's the way that you want to run your business, right? Like you can program it to have like a specific personality to represent your brand. Whereas when you're hiring somebody, you, it's kind of, you have to find that person who's like that, right? So it's way better than a person.
Yeah, and I think the technology is getting better at like making it sound like a real person too. So
Hmm.
a lot of people will come in for sales consultations and they're like, "Oh yeah, I had a full conversation with Susie," and I was like, "Oh, did you know Susie was actually a bot?" And they're like so taken back by that. And they're
Yeah.
like, they don't really, but the thing is, they don't really care because all their questions got answered and they got contact points all the way up until their sales consultation. And so on the flip side, too, people that actually do know that it's a bot, they don't really care either because they're able to get their answers back instantaneously rather than being responded back to by the completely end of the day or the next day. Like they're getting that message back within, 2, 5 minutes after they've actually texted back.
Yeah, so for sure. So let's imagine you're a client and you're on going on Google My Business or like Google searching out for like a gym nearby or something like that, and then you start hitting up a few places. You're going on their website, applying and texting them and whatever, right? And our gym is the one that's like responding. Like you text them, boom, response. Oh, okay, and then reply back, boom, response. Like obviously you're gonna come work with us as opposed to the gym who's taking potentially even an hour or even like 10 minutes. you know like if you're taking 10 minutes to respond, my AI is responding in 5 seconds. So
It's already had like a full conversation by the time that you may have answered them back like, yes, this is what we actually provide. Like it's pretty crazy to see. And that kind of is going to kind of move us on to our like next portion too. So now that we've talked about the AI chatbot, the next portion that we have installed is
wait
also
wait should I think we should also talk about like how it actually works as well.
okay.
Because it's not just like there is the chatbot side of things where like the AI does it does like bring you in, it qualifies you, it talks to you and everything like that, and books you in. But it can also it can also nurture you before the appointment. So you can also have it set up so that it automatically sends messages to remind you that the appointment's coming up as well. So that's another powerful tool where like a lot of gym owners, they don't have time to send a message being like, "Hey, I'm going to see you in an hour," right? The chatbot never makes a mistake. 60 minutes before, it's sending that message, right? So that's a really important thing as well, is like you don't have to send them a confirmation, you don't have to send them a reminder 24 hours out, you don't have to send them a reminder an hour out. It just does it automatically.
Right. And especially if you're having like low show rates to those consultations, a lot of it is just expectation and follow up after the appointment has been booked, right? Like having an email confirmation, having an email text, answering small little questions in between, and then reminders like 24 hours outside, 1 hour before, right? So they're like, oh, yeah, I remember I have that appointment and it's a person that's going to be waiting for me for that sales consultation.
And as a gym owner, like when somebody doesn't show up to your appointment, like it feels like a slap in the face. And obviously, the more it happens, the less it hurts, but it still does hurt because it's like, man, I drove all the way over here, like, and like, I don't have time for this. Like, I was having dinner with my family, and then I had to rush here to do this consultation, and like you didn't show up. It's like fuck you, right? But the thing is, though, uh, with the AI, like our show rates end up being 85%. So 85%, that's every what, 6 consultations, maybe potentially they won't show up. Like it's not that bad. So yeah, versus with some gym owners, like it could be like every 2 out of 3 potentially that aren't showing up, and that hurts.
Yeah, and then that just goes and adds more to your day in which you could have been fulfilling your clients. You could have been working on your business. You could have been, preparing the next day or like training new staff, right? That's time out of you propelling your business forward.
Exactly. But yeah, I guess now we can go into the other AI tool that we use to nurture our leads as well. So, okay, so basically, we have a call bot as well. So we don't have a front desk staff at our gym because it's a total waste of money. In our opinion, like having a front desk staff, total waste of money. The only staff that you need, other than your trainers and a VA, is your cleaning staff. Like, yes, a front desk staff can be good potentially if you have them doing a lot of things, like for example, cleaning, for example, doing your social media. And but the thing is, the more things you stack on top of that, the harder it is to find that specific person, right? A VA can handle your billing, your like all of those admin things, doing like menial tasks and stuff like that, but your front desk staff might not be able to do all those things, right? So if you can afford having a front desk staff, that's great. But for us, we don't want to spend money on that. We have better things to prioritize our funds to. So what we do is just have an AI call bot. So basically, the conversation, should we just play it for people to hear?
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do
Yeah,
that.
because it's only about I think we have one that's a recording of just like a minute something, so people can get an idea of what it's like. But yeah, you don't have to. Here, I'm just gonna.
Yeah, and just to give everyone a kind of context, this is for like inbound calls. So, say a lead goes on Google and they're like looking for more information. Some people don't want to just fill in their information on your website. Some people just want to get on a call right away, and they'll call. And if you're not by that front desk, you're not ready to pick up the phone, they're on to the next space, right? And so that's where the call bot will come in, and it's pretty cool to see. Like you'll hear it. Here we go.
So here's the call.
Hi, thank you for calling Kraken Fitness. How may I help you today?
Hey, where are you guys located?
We are located at 6637 Hastings Street, Burnaby, BC, next to Kensington Plaza near SFU. How can I assist you further today?
Okay, that's perfect. Yeah, you guys are very close to where I stay. Yeah, I want to join your gym basically.
That's fantastic to hear. At Kraken Fitness, we specialize in personal and semi-private training, and our programs are tailored to help you meet your specific fitness goals, whether that's losing weight, building strength, or just enhancing overall health. What's your main fitness goal?
Yeah, I'd say my main goal is putting on muscle.
Awesome. Building muscle is a great goal. And with our personal and semi-private training, we can definitely help you achieve that. Are you interested in getting started with us?
I'm just gonna fast forward a little bit so you can hear how the call gets booked into the calendar.
All right, let me check if tomorrow at 11:30 a.m. is available for you. One moment, please. One sec. It looks like tomorrow at 11:30 a.m. isn't available. However, I can offer you two alternative times. Tomorrow at 10 a.m. or 1 p.m. Which one would you prefer?
Yeah, I think tomorrow at 10 a.m. would be good.
One sec.
And then from there proceeded to book that appointment into the calendar. So that's essentially how we're like, it asked for his name and everything like that, and then it just booked him into the calendar. So you can see how powerful that is, because even if you did have a front desk staff, they might be like talking to somebody else. They pick up the phone and they're like, "Oh, hello, yeah, maybe I'll call you back in a second," or they just not like fully involved in the conversation, and then it just makes it more likely that the person is going to find somebody else to call, right? So with us, it's just like, boom, you call us, we pick up, and then right away you get booked into the calendar. So imagine how powerful this tool could be if you've implemented this into your business. Think about all the calls that you get on a daily, weekly, monthly basis that you end up losing, right? Or that maybe like you couldn't pick up the phone, or maybe you just couldn't give them the right answers, or you were just like so busy and you're like, I just don't have time for this. Maybe I'll just answer them quickly, right? And then now you lost a sale, right? Versus the AI, boom, it sets the appointment into your schedule. You don't have to worry about it. That person's going to get reminded to come into the gym, and it's all done for you, right? It's insane. So yeah, if you can slowly start to see that if you're not leveraging these kind of tools in your business, like you are so behind already. Like it's already getting really late. I can foresee in a matter of like 5 to 10 years, everyone's going to be using this. Everyone. And so if you can hop on that earlier, this can be like your version of finding Bitcoin, right? So that's why we try to find as many ways as possible to leverage AI. And I remember, like we were just talking about before this podcast, like when AI first came out, and I think it was like I can't remember the exact. Maybe it was December 2021. Does that sound about right? Maybe
Yeah,
2022.
yeah. It was like I remember it was the start of a new year where
Yeah,
ChatGPT was just taking off.
yeah. It was like November, December ish, and then I was with my family, and my brother-in-law was showing me this, and I was like, "What?" And then we were like just making it do like racist things and jokes and stuff just for fun. And it's like, oh, it's working. I don't think you could do that anymore, probably for the better But we were like just so mind blown by it. And then from there, the next day I woke up and I was like, holy crap, I need to figure out how to leverage this in our business. Like this, if we don't figure this out now, then somebody else is going to figure it out. And then right away, we started trying to find ways that we can do it. Like I remember right away making videos for our staff to try to like get them to start using that as well. But now we use it, all of our staff use it on a daily basis. For many different things like content creation and everything, which is kind of like what we're going to be talking about next. But and we're going to dive into two more things, but let's kind of start talking about the content creation thing. So, yeah, you can use it for things like creating like your Instagram content, right? Because you can change your descriptions, and maybe you wanted to revamp your Instagram bio or something like that. You can actually take a screenshot of your Instagram and send it to it and be like, "Do you have any suggestions for me?" And then it'll give you suggestions. So you can use it as a thought idea, like to give you ideas, or you can use it as something to actually write out your ideas as well. So you can say something like super simple with a bunch of spelling mistakes, like, "Hey, I just need a quick post on how to do a lateral raise," and it would just be like, "Da, da, 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 perfect." And then you could just be like, "Make it more serious," and it would be like, "Da, da, da," and then you just make it more serious, copy and paste, boom, it's done, right? So that's what we use it for our Instagram content. And I just want to point out that Brandon, he wrote out the plan for this podcast. He did not use ChatGPT.
Yeah, for once I
And
used my real brain.
yeah, and so we're all frowning upon that. Could have been faster.
Yeah, but when we do podcasts, usually we're actually looking for different kind of topics that we might want to do. And I think what you're trying to say is a really good kind of tool to kind of flush out your ideas, right? You kind of bounce ideas off of it, and it makes it more elaborate. It cleans up your mistakes and just makes things way more easier to work within. But I remember one of the first things we actually used for was actually to create a lead magnet, and it was like super fast. Like I remember one of the very first things we did was we made like an eating out guide in our local area using ChatGPT, and I remember this being done super fast because I remember one of the very first success stories out of ChatGPT was a guy who like made a kids book or something on Amazon, and he was like selling it for like hundreds of dollars, and the copies were being like sold, they're just flying off of Amazon. And you can create things like that for your own gym too, easily, just through using ChatGPT. I mean, you still should vet the information that it's giving you. Don't just like prompt it and just like copy and paste it and then just send it out to your clients or your like potential leads. You still should work with it. Like I was saying earlier, it should flush out your ideas, but it is going to be something that accelerates the progress of whatever you're trying to build. So any kind of content you're trying to build, anything that you're going to send out, it just makes things so much faster.
Yeah, for sure. So one of our staff, she does all of the email marketing, and she was like super against ChatGPT at the beginning because she's like, no, it needs to be more personal than that. And then now she uses ChatGPT all the time. Because it's just so much easier to get your point across. You can type in some random words and it will put it together for you very effortlessly. And then you just go in, you change a couple things, and then you fire it off, right? The one warning that I must give you though is that sometimes, like, there is a belief right now that some websites, like for example Google or maybe your email providers, are actually looking um, for how much use of ChatGPT there is on your website or things like that, because it can kind of come off as a lower quality website or a lower quality email. So people do put, like, what we do is we actually get our trainer or our staff to, before they send off an email, to put it through a this analyzer that basically detects how much of it was written by AI. and then they go in and they change it to be at least under 50%. Because if the whole thing appears to be written by AI, it can hurt your like send rate on your for your emails potentially, like how many people actually receive it, and it ends up in their junk mail or something like that, right? So you just have to be careful about those kind of things. But the thing is, though, if your business is very well established, then it matters less. If your business is newer, then it matters more. But this is also just hearsay as well. No one actually knows how accurate this is. Like whether, for example, Instagram has like AI detectors and they're punishing people for using AI. Who knows if that's actually the case? But it is something to watch out for.
Totally.
Now, yeah. So we also use it for like some fulfillment things as well. Like for example, we have like nutrition courses and materials and stuff that we give to our clients, and we write that completely with ChatGPT. Like sometimes what we'll do is, let's say we have a video that we're sending to a client, like on a Loom, on what to do for the next week in their check-in, and then we actually take the transcript, put it through ChatGPT, and then tell ChatGPT to write out a little like a what's it called,
Summary?
like a summary of like exactly what you talked about, right? Or like let's say we have a video course, right? With the video, we'll have a little bit of summary underneath there, written by ChatGPT. So just in case somebody doesn't want to watch the video, they can just read it. And that was a request by one of our members, actually. So it is quite useful. And then also exact same thing with your staff training manuals. You can do that as well, and also your staff SOPs. And the interesting thing that we did with our staff SOP is we took our SOP, uploaded the entire thing to ChatGPT, and it's called My GPTs, where you could create your own chatbot that will answer specific questions. So, for example, like our chatbot can say like, how do you cancel somebody's contract? And it'll say like, first you have to go on MindBody, and then you have to like cancel their contract on MindBody, and then you go on to this thing, and then you remove them from here, and then you move the email to this thing, right? Like that, it tells you the SOP for that, and so that way no one actually has to communicate with us; they can just figure it out themselves.
Right. And the nice thing about it is if the chatbot doesn't know what the answer is, you can tell it to refer it to a specific person on your team too. So, for example, we have an operations manager at our gym, and all the questions that this custom ChatGPT doesn't understand, it says like, hey, you should contact Brendan, our operations manager, for this. But this is a cool thing that we have all for our staff, so they can just quickly, easily find even like resources, right? You can put in certain links, certain documents in there that they could quickly search, that they could really quickly, like I said, access.
Yeah. And then finally, the last thing that we do with the AI, well, there's many more, but there's only three things that we're going to talk about today, is interpreting data. And the first thing that we do when it comes to interpreting data is first creating the data. So the way that we do that is we actually create the spreadsheets. Like for example, like every single spreadsheet that we use in our company is created by ChatGPT. And what I mean by that is like, you could say like, I don't know an exact example. Maybe Brandon, do you know an exact example?
Yeah, because I'm the Sheets guy. Well, I'm
Yeah.
the Sheets guy with ChatGPT. So just to give you guys a background, before I ran the gym at all, I knew nothing about Google Sheets. And through over the years and using ChatGPT, I was actually able to get pretty good at it, because you can create any kind of sheet to track any metric within your business. So for instance, we have a sales tracking sheet where we'll have our leads auto-populate in this sheet, and we can track about how many of these leads are booking a consultation, how many of these book consultations are actually being sold, how many of these sold consultations are staying, and how long are they staying for. And obviously those conversions and those formulas in there are going to be quite complex, especially the more you add into these sheets. So I'll use ChatGPT to leverage it, and I'll say like, okay, if I have this number of rows in this one tab divided by the amount of showed in this row here or this column, what is my percentage? And you can build out really complex formulas to measure your show rate, to measure your sales rate per trainer, right? And over time through certain date ranges. And me, myself, I'm not going to become like an Excel world championship guy, but I feel like with ChatGPT, I'm getting there.
Yeah. But yeah, the formulas on the spreadsheets can be like they're insanely complex. Like they could be like multi-line that just go on forever. That's taking data from one sheet and then another, and then detecting a name, and then like all kinds of stuff, like to ignore things and all that stuff. And then all ChatGPT literally just does it in a second, and you can actually just literally screenshot whatever you're looking at and just like put it into ChatGPT, like put the image into ChatGPT, and it'll tell you. It'll tell you exactly which cell to put it in and everything. It's not always perfect, but you have to just learn how to communicate with the AI, and it will know exactly what you're looking for. But then what we do is we take all of that data and then we start asking it questions about the data, right? Because then we can get some very specific answers. Like when it comes to business, what you're trying to do is you're just trying to constantly break your own business when you're trying to improve it. Like you're always trying to look for like it's like you ask a question and then you have to find the answer for that question. So question answer, and you can easily do this with ChatGPT. So what we can do, like for example, is say like, hey, here's our data from our like top 50 clients. Here's what they do for work. Here's how many kids they have. Like we actually go and find this data, right? Here's how many kids they have. Here's how old they are. Here's where they're from. Here's their ethnicity. Here's like all of this stuff, right? So much data, right? And you can say, what kind of people should we serve? And it'll be like, well, 64% of your clients are women. And it seems like the percentage of revenue coming from these women is actually 85%. So maybe you should be focusing on creating high ticket programs for women. And you're like, holy crap, how did I not even see that? So it can give you so much juicy data if you know how to collect your own data, which you can do by leveraging ChatGPT. And then from there, just asking questions about your own business that typically you just don't see and ChatGPT sees.
Right. And then on the flip side, it helps you solve problems as well. So like say you're having an issue in your business. So for example, ours was during certain times of the day, we were trying to find out which times were prime for making sales. Right. And so we put in all the data from our sales tracking sheet, like what time the appointments would come, how many of those would close, who the salespeople were.
Like how much they were selling.
Yeah. And how much they were selling. And what we actually found out was like people in our gym specifically are not willing to make larger high ticket commitments earlier in the morning. So like our 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. was very much lower in sales closing rate in comparison to the people who came in from like 5 to like 7 p.m. So with that data being said, like we were able to actually shorten those time windows down and really push people into the time zones that are going to be more prime for us.
Yeah. So yeah, you can imagine, like, it seems so obvious looking back, like, oh yeah, when you wake up in the morning, maybe it's not the best time to buy something, like when as soon as you wake up, just like, oh, here's 4Gs, right? But later down the day, you've loosened up a little bit, you've woken up, you've had a couple cups of coffee and some food in you, and then you're a little bit more relaxed and you're like, I got 4Gs. And it's so obvious now looking back, but we didn't realize that until we actually put the data into ChatGPT, and ChatGPT just told us like right away. It was like, yeah, maybe you should cut out these times, force people to go into later times. And if the people, like, the thing is, yeah, sure. A lot of people say like, oh, these people aren't going to come to your gym. Yeah, they will. They're just going to come to your gym and then sign up for the morning instead. They're going to be like, oh, they don't do consultations at this time. Like, I'm going to just come in after work. And then when they come in, they're going to say, I'm actually looking for a morning slot. And you'd be like, okay, perfect. We have tons of morning slots, which happens all the time as well. Like a lot of time we have people coming in the evening for consultations, yet we sell them into the morning. So it's not like they have to, like, you have to leave the 7 a.m. open so you can fill in those 7 a.m. people. In fact, the thing that ChatGPT told us was like, you only have this many sessions in this many consultations in the morning. I think it was like you guys had 10 consultations in the last 6 months in the morning. Like, it's not worth it for you guys to leave this morning spot open, especially like since we'd have to staff those, right? Like somebody has to come in and do it. And I think we also had a lot of cancellations and no-shows during those morning slots because I guess people like they realize in the morning like, oh, no, I don't want to do it.
Totally. And then internally, it's really good to view like your staff's data. So for instance, you can interpret the data from each individual trainer, like which trainers are holding and retaining onto their clients the most, which ones are making more upsells and ascensions, which ones are being able to, again, or how long are they being able to keep their clients for? Because when you go into, let's say, doing a performance review with your trainers, and maybe some of them are asking for a raise, you have that data to back yourself up with, right? You can say like, hey, the reason why I can't give you a raise right now is because your retention is not quite there. So if we're able to work on this in the next like 6 months to a year, like then you're garnering a raise, right? Or you could also do it the other way where it's like, hey, yeah, this person definitely deserves because they're putting more into your business as well.
Yeah. So those are the ways that we leverage AI, and yeah, the number one thing is that probably the most useful. They're all really useful, but like the really one that brings in the most amount of direct revenue into our business is definitely the lead nurturing bot, and we actually have this available for you to to use if you join our program. So if you want to learn more about how to work with us, all you have to do is go into the description of this video, and we left links for you to book a call with us. So book a call with us. We'll show you how everything works, and then we can set you up to get started right away. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it for this podcast. Do you have anything else you want to throw in, Brandon?
That's it.
All right, cool, guys. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you in the next one.
Yep.